All right, everybody, welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl. You made it back for another week, and we're glad that you did. And you're going to be glad that you did too, because we have another massive guest on our hands, another great musician, another person that reached out to me, and I instantly got excited. We haven't really covered this genre too much on the show, so I'm pumped about that. So we're going to get somebody in who's in the rap world, doing some R&B. So I'm not even going to waste the sauce right now. Let's bring him on right now. We got Richard Radio Miller. Richard, how are you doing?
Woo! There go the crowd screaming. Okay. Hi. What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited. I'm ready to talk and get into all the nuances. I'm excited.
Well, let's dive into your beginnings a little bit right off the bat. So the one thing that caught me when I was reading through your bio was that you won a talent show at 8 years old.
Yes.
Started calling you Baby Usher. Let's talk about
it. So I was 8 years old. So I'm originally from Miami, Florida. My father is a big time church musician down there. So he's pretty well known in Miami, Florida. And he plays at maybe a couple mega churches down there. And that's how I got started in music as a kid, just watching him, do his thing and travel all over and do services and stuff like that all over the United States. And it was really, really cool. So I was immersed into music at a very, very young age. And I was around, certain popular gospel artists and stuff like that. So I kind of got introduced to the business really early as well, just kind of following my father and because he made a living, off of doing music in church. And so from there, he taught me everything about being a musician and about playing instruments. So I play 5 different instruments right now. I play drums, I play organ, piano, a little bit of bass guitar and saxophone. And then on top of that, I also sing and rap and write music and produce and all that jazz. Yeah, at 8 years old in West Perrine, Florida, shout out to West Perrine, they had a talent show, which was just for the community. And I was a young kid, I was kind of dabbling into dancing and doing that kind of stuff. And so I was like, at the time, Usher had just dropped like a huge song. And I was like, let's do this. And so I learned the dances and all that kind of stuff, performed on stage. Everybody went nuts over it. And that's kind of how I got the nickname around my little city as Baby Usher. And it just kind of progressed from there into middle school, doing little talent shows. And then I guess what kind of sparked a huge passion to be in the game was when I was in high school, and we did a major talent show in high school. And I actually was the person in charge of the band, actually. So we had a live band and we had all the nonstops, and I was in charge of all of that. So I had to play and behind, every artist that came on stage. And we had a, like I said, probably like 4 or 5 piece band kind of ran. And this is in high school, which is really, really interesting to put something like that together. And it kind of got a little bit of like on the news and stuff like that. So they came and took some videos, and I was like, you know what? I think this could be something really interesting. But I got into business. And so so after high school, I went to college out here in Sioux City. I went to Briarcliff, shout out to them. Basically went into business and started my first company as a sophomore, which was Pure Side Organic, selling organic cooking oil, and just kind of went off the route a little bit, and then came back after college, kind of started fairly late in the game as far as your normal artist stories. You know what I mean? I took an alternative route and came back to it and found my voice after I was in church. And so just a quick synopsis, I was in church and I was being a musician, doing the same thing my father did, but I didn't necessarily have a voice to be honest about my own feelings and my own thoughts. And so with that kind of being a problem, with religion and all that jazz, and I'm sure we could probably get into that a little bit, but it was really difficult to have my own voice and to express my own feelings. And so that's what kind of made me come back to music and start putting all of that into my craft. And it went very well from that point.
So you're from South Florida, right?
Yes. Yep.
And of course, that's kind of a huge multicultural scene in South Florida. So what were kind of all your influences from that?
So I did have a huge, somewhat Spanish influence. I also had, I don't know if you guys know these artists, but your Uncle Luke's and your Trick Daddies and Trina and all of these different artists down there that have come out of Miami. The genres of music was really really mixed at the time. So you have they call it drum hip hop, which is kind of like a Louisiana drill beat kind of ordeal. Then you have, the Spanish music. Then you have the Caribbean music, and so it was a blend of a lot of different genres of music, which kind of helped shaped my beginnings because of me coming out of the church and having that kind of background, and then blending all of it into one kind of situation. So it's very unique.
So I got to ask you, the biggest mystery in music right now is where the heck is Trick Daddy? What happened to him? And where is he, man?
Trick Daddy is still doing this thing down there. He's on Love and Hip Hop Miami, and he also has his own cooking show that he does, which is huge because he sells a lot of product by him, cooking at seasonings and all that kind of stuff that he sells. And he also does, his show still. He also has a radio show, I believe, that he also hosts. So he's still busy doing this thing. And he just came off of, I think, the celebration of 50 years of hip hop and stuff like that. So they threw a big show down there, him and Trina, and so they're doing very very well. He's had some health problems, and so he's been getting healthier and working with that. So things have been good for him as far as I know.
And for a while there, it was like a Bigfoot sighting. If you saw Trick Daddy out in the wild, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good that he's back, man. He was such an awesome performer and an amazing musician, and it was just like he just like fell off the map, and nobody really knew what happened to him. So it's good to hear that he's back in the limelight a little bit.
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
You have created from cooking oils to record company.
I have my brand, so this is my clothing line, all kind of stuff. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, because it was Radio Records.
Yes, it was Radio Records
at
first.
Known, or did you do that at first? Because I know you had some album soul. Yeah, I want to hear about that.
So here's an interesting thing. Okay, so there are basically two different companies. So I started with Radio Records simply because my name got kind of popular in town here in Sioux City. And so I just kind of ran with that and just put out some music underneath that name. And then how Mill Music came about was there was a friend of mine who was in the music industry, and he was talking about this concept of music is life and how music really helps people and really changes people's lives. That was very inspirational when it came to my movement in the music game, because that's how I started, which was finding my voice in music. And once I started talking to people, it kind of resonated with a lot of people. They'd be like, oh, yeah, when I went through this bad breakup with this jerk I was with, it was this song that I had, and it kind of got me through. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started hearing a lot of those stories around. And so when it came to creating the brand Mill Music, I kind of wanted to continue that kind of sequence of that feeling around music, because I think that is extremely powerful and people connect to it on a deeper level.
Well, honestly, that's kind of what our whole show is about, and it's kind of why we got into this, was how we connected to music and just kind of how we've brought our community together in all genres in how we connect to music. And I think as we stumbled onto you, like your journey to the Midwest, I think that's, we're Midwesterners, and so we're infatuated with the scene around everywhere. But here we are kind of in the middle of the cold Midwest. And yet we find all the time there's so many talented people and so much expression of different music. And that's why I was kind of asking you kind of that background of Southern Miami. And you've kind of moved around a little bit. So you've kind of seen a little different parts of the country. And
yes, I lived in Atlanta for about 2 years as well. So I graduated from Westlake High School, which is actually, I graduated a year after Cam Newton. So I went to school with Cam Newton and played ball with him as well.
I mean, that's a huge area. So
Yeah.
ton of influence. So kind of give us a little difference between the kind of Southern Miami, Georgia to now Midwest Iowa, Nebraska.
Well, because see, Atlanta has more of a trap base kind of thing. So you do have a lot of, I mean, rock is everywhere, so rock and country is everywhere. So it's not like you can miss that. Wherever you go, there's gonna be somewhere you got a band somewhere playing country or rock somewhere. So, but from a hip hop standpoint, they have trap music. And that basically is people who grew up in, challenging areas and challenging situations, and basically putting that over trap beats and just telling their story over that as well, their experience from where they're from. That was really, really interesting how much of a stronghold that has had on Atlanta, and how that's kind of bled into a lot of other scenes around the United States and even around the world. Just with the Megan Thee Stallion song that she has with the I think he's from China, I think it is, or Korea, one of them. But she has songs with an Asian person, which means that hip hop is traveling all over the world. And a lot of that started from, you will say, because she's from Texas, I believe. So the Houston area, which has a different version of trap, different version of hip hop, with Atlanta being an area where you have like the Migos, who was like really, really huge there, and which really influenced that. Then you have T.I., who influenced a lot of the underground, and your Young Jeezys and all that kind of stuff. So me traveling in all of these different places, I kind of picked up, a lot of little nuggets and things like that from all of them, and kind of brought it all together. Plus, I'm a studier of people who have gone before me. So I studied like, your Rick Rosses and your DJ Khaled's and, different people that have gone before, your Jay-Z's and all of them. Studying their journeys really helped me shape my understanding of what my journey should be and how I can carve out my own lane for myself.
There's so many different types of rap, like you said, and I love how you covered that for people that don't understand that it's so different. Like for me, what's weird about rap and hip hop is that it affects everybody in different ways. Like,
yes,
it was very influential to me, and I was just a kid in the suburbs here in Lincoln. But like gangster rap, West Coast rap hit me so hard, like Death Row and all that. I was like fixated on it immediately. Like everything that came out from Death Row, everything from Suge Knight, everything from Ruthless Records, all of that. I was down for all the beefs and all of that stuff going on. It's just so fun to hear from somebody about all the different types of rap, man.
Yeah, it is. Like even when I came across Tech Nine and Strange Music, that was a different world within itself. Because I can't rap fast. I wish I could, and I try all the time, but I can't do it. So because the cadence is so fast, and they're so clear with how they say it. I'm like, man, I'm from the South. I don't know if I got that articulation. So, but even when I came across Juggalos, like that was a very cool world. And we have a few of them here in town. Their shows and the way that they put their music together, very, very different, very, very interesting. And so to be, because we do a lot of mixed genre shows, and so where you have everything from hip hop to trap, juggalo stuff, you have rock, you have heavy metal, you have all of that kind of at the same show. It's interesting to watch the crowd be introduced to so many different styles of music for people who might have not have ever heard juggalo style of music, or may have never heard, trap music, because they come from the rock and the metal side, and from hip hop people being at the shows, they may like the energy that comes with heavy metal. You know what I mean? Because that's how I fell in love with heavy metal. They get up there, start screaming at you, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is it right here. You get excited.
Kind of touching on an area, like for me, it was about a little over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I had promoted a lot of metal and rock stuff, of course, because here we are in the Midwest. And like you said, it's so many genres. And then I did get into promoting a lot of new hip hop and a lot of artists in the area. And there was a lot of difference and a lot of uniqueness.
Mhm.
And here it is, you're trying to blend all these things to an audience
Yeah.
that never gets exposed, you know, the
Yeah.
culture of what that is. It's almost like you have to train the audience of what you're doing. I
Yeah.
mean,
Because one thing I learned about audiences is that they don't know what they like until they hear it. You know what I mean? Once they hear it and they're able to digest it and to understand it, then they're able to decide, okay, I kind of vibe with this. It may not be my main course meal, but, for a side cake, I might like that. You know what I mean? It may not be a bad thing.
well, I think that's where you're kind of unique. You've got a little, you've got a little blend of all of it a little bit. I mean, just
Yeah.
the stuff I've heard you do so far, you've got it. Like you said, you could tell you got a little that gospel background, but you've got a wonderful voice. And so
Thank you.
you kind of blend that rap with the smooth sound
With everything,
and
yeah.
what
Kind of
everything
blend it with
and
everything.
then you bring the energy. So
Yes, yes.
so I think that's where you stand out of what I've seen so far.
Well, here's what's crazy, right? So I say like I study people, right? So I wanted to know, okay, if I'm gonna really do this, I need to make sure that I am unlike anything else that anybody's ever seen. I'm gonna tell you one of the craziest influences I had was from Snoop Dogg. And when it came to his performances and his shows, because Snoop Dogg is kind of older generation as far as hip hop concerned, and so but still relevant and still cool, right? Because you see Snoop Dogg, everybody still goes crazy, right? One of the craziest things is that he had a mascot that performed with him, and that changed the game for me. So I was like, oh, we can be really gimmicky. And the first time I seen something like that was T-Pain, when he was doing his like circus kind of ordeal back in the day. That became such an impactful moment for me, being able to see, oh wow, like you can really pull out some stuff that gangster rapper probably would think is corny. But when it comes to the masses and people who are not necessarily from that specific lane, it could be really interesting and really entertaining. And so at my shows, I do everything at my shows. I have my big hats, I have foam heads, I have balloons and bubbles and like all kind of crazy stuff. Yeah, I be doing everything. Like I have water. Like when I opened for Ludacris here in town, and I had beach balls and I had water guns. I was shooting water guns at people and like jumping off the stage and like just going nuts. And everybody was just like, yo, like this guy is crazy. But it makes for a great experience. And so when it came to the aftermath of people talking about how do they like the show, everybody was like, yo, whoever that first guy was, he was crazy. He was lit.
Though, when you're performing, you got to be kind of crazy. And it really does bring in the crowd. We just interviewed a guy from a local band here. It's called Ghetto Blasters. And they do a lot of the hip hop and rap from like the 90s. And I love watching them. And they had to ban though their money thrower thing. It looked like it was throwing money everywhere because drunk girls are going up to pay for drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fake money. But yeah, they do the same thing. And it's so much fun to go do performances like that. Like I know what you're talking about and I mean, they would have like whistles and they'd go out in the crowd
Yes.
I mean, it is so much fun. There's so much energy. And I've always said that. And also like when I asked him about rapping, because sometimes phonetically you can say a word when you're singing or, kind of make it sound this. When you're rapping, you have to say the words because, they're very clear. And I know that you write some of yours and you were talking about how it made other people feel and for you to get out there. So you do crazy stuff and all that. But like, I also feel like you kind of have other slower and a little more meaningful than more entertaining. So do you write a lot of your stuff or like, where does that come from?
I write all of my music and I also produce all of my music as well. So at the beginning of my career, when I was trying to find, my voice and express myself, a lot of it was coming from a dark place. And so when you listen to my early music when I first started, it was really sad. But as I was able to dump all of that, the music started to get happier. And that's kind of how the energy started to change. I found out very quickly when I started doing music, when I was a worship leader and putting out my own music, I found that the church really doesn't take too kindly to that in most cases. And when I was like, okay, I want to be able to speak my truth, because in church, you are speaking other people's truths because you're doing covers of other songs. And I had similar experiences, and I went through some of the same trials and tribulations, just like those major gospel artists and things like that. And one of the things that I wanted to do was like, I want to be able to tell my story and to tell the things that I struggle with and the things that I have problems overcoming in my journey in life. And the church didn't allow me to do that. And so my first music was one of the interesting things is that I had a really, really grudge with the church for a while. And that was expressed in my music. I've had to go through a lot of people calling me an unbeliever, backslider. I mean, all of the derogatory names that you can call someone who believes in God. You know, that was a lot of the pain that I had to endure with my transition going into this. But what I realized is that once I started speaking that truth, it connected with a lot of people who also went through some of the same stuff. And I was able to harness that feeling of pain and neglect and abandonment and misunderstanding and be able to put that into my music, and it really connected very well.
Well, and that's what I feel like when it comes from the heart, when it comes from things that you experience in life. It's like if you're a comedian, when you tell jokes, it's usually about your life, and that I think takes a lot of work, and it's really hard to write lyrics to make your life kind of go out there in your voice. But it's your entertainment, it's your passion. And I'm sure you have touched a lot of people in ways that they are so grateful for your music and your entertainment. And that's another thing that we do here is we love to get people like you, artists like you, that are so many things that you are capable of, and that you actually go around and travel and get to know different music.
All right, now's as good as any time to talk about the people, places, and things that keep this show going. Let's talk about our sponsors. Let's do the local roundup. Then when we get back, we will talk more with our guest, Richard Radio Miller. Welcome to the Late Late Show with your host, Squatch.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a controversial guest tonight. He claims to have the world's smelliest beard and doesn't plan to do anything about it in the foreseeable future. Let's bring him on right now. He wants to be brought on by what he goes by on his socials, Toxic Beard 87.
Hey, calm down. Don't hate the smells if it sells.
Hello, my toxic friend. Let me ask you something. With brands like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company, why do you choose to smell like a rotten egg on Easter?
It all started when I was 16 years old. My beard was growing like a forest full of pine trees, and it was time for me to find a delicious scent to make Cindy Jo fall in love with me. I found a beard oil in a store, and I thought for sure she was going to be mine. I caked it on, and I was so proud of the way I smelled and how I looked. As soon as I saw Cindy Jo, I went running over to her, but instead of her embracing me and taking me in, she told me to go away and told me I smelled terrible. It was the worst day of my life. It was right then that I vowed that I would never put another product in my beard again. And so here I am, Toxic Beard Guy 87, and I'm not going anywhere.
Well, if I'd gone through that, it'd been tough for me to show my face again, too. But luckily, there's companies like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company that have multiple products that'll have girls like Cindy Jo melting in the palm of your hand.
Sasquatch, do you really think that there's a product for me?
Yes, my friend. There are beard balms, beard oils, beard butters, and beard washes that will make your whiskers the talk of the town. You'll be smelling like a dozen roses, and you'll be looking the best you've ever looked.
I would give anything to get Cindy Joe to talk to me just once again. Where can I get this amazing product?
Head on over to ElginSasquatchCo.etsy.com and find yourself getting lost in the amount of items that they have to offer, including beard boxes as well, with a full line of some of their favorite products.
There's only one thing left to do. I'm going to go over to Etsy right now and I'm going to buy as much product as I can, and I'm going to find Cindy Joe and I'm going to win her over. Thanks again, Squatch.
You heard it here, folks. We changed his mind. Next on the show, we'll have a doll with an eating disorder. Then we'll have squirrels riding skateboards. Till then, head on over to Etsy right now. Tell them that the Scratch the Vinyl podcast sent you.
All right, let's not waste any time. Let's get to the local roundup right now. Gray's Keg, let's start with that. Big news there. Apparently the Battle of the Bands has been canceled or postponed for now. I don't think canceled, I think more postponed. But anyways, they're not doing that this weekend, but they are, however, don't lose any sleep, everybody. They've got two great bands. Friday night, they got Cheap Death. They're a Blue Raven project. Apparently, looking into it a little bit more, they started in 2020. It's summer camp. They learned a lot of music at Blue Raven, and then they took second place in the 2024 Battle of the Bands there. So they've got to be pretty good. They play a little bit of everything. It's a $5 cover. You probably don't want to miss that show. It looks like it's going to be an awesome night. Then Saturday night at Gray's, they've got an 8 p.m. show with Helen Bach. They're a Nebraska City band. They do classic rock, blues, country, all of your favorite hits. Go there. Don't forget your dancing shoes because it's going to be like Footloose up in there. So go check out Gray's Keg. If you get hungry, go head on over to Tam. Get the best burger in town. They've also got prime rib and tons of specials. Go to the Tam. Tell them that Scratch the Vinyl sent you. Next, we've got the Bourbon. The Bourbon's got a nice little lineup this weekend. Friday night, they've got Corey Kent and Clayton Mullen. Doors open at 7 p.m., shows at 8 p.m. It's an all-ages show. Saturday night, they've got K-pop night with world-class DJs spinning your favorite K-pop. All ages, doors at 7, shows at 8 p.m. Go to the website for the prices on those awesome shows. Get out there, Lincoln. All the other places that have bands, and there's a ton of them out there, go support local music. It's what we preach. It's what we practice. Get out there. Stop being boring just because it's cold outside. Go have a good time. Last but not least, we have Roots Music Shop. What can I really say about Roots Music Shop? I love the place. I've been going there since the beginning of their times, or maybe just the beginning of times in general. I get my records there. I go there to get my guitars fixed. I buy, sell, and trade there. There's just a plethora of everything. So go to Roots Music Shop. Say hello to Ryan. Give him a hug if he'll let you. If not, give him a handshake or a high five. And now, let's get back to our interview with our guest, Richard Radio Miller.
I want to see you really bad.
Yeah.
You to come to Lincoln, or I'll travel maybe to Omaha. I don't know if it's not snowing.
I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I want to know where you're playing, and I want to come see you.
I think Brooke would go to your church. Like if that's your gospel morning, the energy you bring in your story, I think everybody would go to church.
I would. Have a little wine as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely get that. A lot of people definitely was shocked to hear me say, hey, I'm going to try doing this entertainment thing over here. You know what I mean? And it worked out. It worked out. I was super scared. Let me be honest, right? I was super nervous about it because everybody only known me as a worship leader. And so when I started, and I'm gonna tell you, here's the background story to this too. I've always been self-conscious about my voice for my entire life. I've always been self-conscious about it. So I never thought that my voice was good enough, which is why I started rapping first. And so once I got comfortable and with the rapping, I was like, okay, let me try to incorporate a little bit of singing. And I started doing that live at the shows. And people started going crazy over there, like, oh, we didn't know you could sing. And I was like, well, yeah, yeah. My new audience didn't know that. So I'm introducing them to my voice now in a way that they've never seen before. And so it's a beautiful thing. Even when I because I also sing the national anthem at various events professionally. And so
I did actually get to see that. Was it recently? It was a hockey.
yes, it's a hockey
Be
game. I'm
there, but
actually
I
doing
saw
that. I'm doing that this Friday. So I'm doing that at the Tyson Event Center here in town.
how
And
fun is that?
it was it's fun, but I didn't understand because again, I'm from Miami, Florida, so I don't know what ice is like really, right? Especially when you're trying to walk on it, right? And so it's really nervous having to walk across the ice and not fall and da 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 da. And so they're very, very courteous when it comes to accommodating me. I'm like, listen, can you roll that carpet out? I'm like a diva. I'm like, can you roll that carpet out?
I literally was going to say, "Where's the red carpet? I brought my own if you don't have it." But
Yes, because I'm like, listen,
doing
I'm
it
from
yourself
Miami. I
before.
do not necessarily know how to ice skate. Okay.
That's exactly right.
Yes, like and even seeing snow for the first time when I came to Sioux City, I was just like, "Yo, this is incredible!" And I was over it in like a year. I was like, "Okay, one winter is cool, but once you get to like 7, 8 winters, you're like, all right."
5 car accidents. And then
Oh
you have
yeah, oh
on
yeah,
your cars. Oh yeah, it's beautiful, wonderful weather here.
yeah, yeah. And my family back home, when I tell them the temperatures here, I was like, because yesterday it was like -4, and I'm talking to my dad in Miami. He's like, I'm not coming up there. I'm like,
But
I
they
was
don't
like,
get any
yeah,
free runs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You guys have Runza in Sioux City? You know what
We don't
Runza
have
is?
a Runza in Sioux City, no. But I've been to Runza, and I think it's cool.
You can dry ice it and have them send it to you. I got people in Florida, Texas, all of them. Yeah,
That
Valentine.
is crazy.
Well, we'll
That
send you
is
some.
crazy. Yeah, I know. My favorite is I like Raising Cane's and Freddy's. That's kind of my ordeal. Hmm.
Next time you're in Lincoln, we'll have to go to lunch or something, man. We'll get you all. We'll take you to all the good places here in Lincoln, not just those places. All right.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. I love the mom and pop like food places. They are the greatest.
Or I'll just make you some lasagna.
Oh, you know how to make some good lasagna?
Well, I mean, I could do either maybe after the show. Yeah, I'm the band-aid, the mom aid.
I get it.
I'll
Hey,
feed
knowing
you.
how to cook is a great skill. Let me tell you, because I'm not a cooker. That's one thing. I'm not a cooker. I don't have the patience. I'd be like, "Is it ready yet? Like, why is it taking so long? I'm hungry now."
Well, you didn't turn the oven on. I've been
Yeah.
So, with your background in the church, is it when you were first starting out, were you trying to cut songs that were gospel or Christian rap or anything like that? Was that kind of your beginning?
No. When I got into my first song that kind of got me some traction was Sioux City Sue. It actually was the first song. It was like a hip hop rendition of like the 1970s version of Sioux City Sue. And I just flipped it into a hip hop thing, and it got some popular. I was in the papers and on the news and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh man, this is really starting to move a little bit. And but I did not want to have that much of an association with the church, but I did want to use some of the qualities that I've learned in church music, and I wanted to infuse that into my hip hop. But I didn't want it to be like super noticeable, because at that time I wanted to be accepted, into the hip hop community, and I realized that bringing that kind of energy from being a worship leader into being an artist and an entertainer, I think that it carried over extremely well. And because people felt it, it just felt different. And it was just like, this is a different type of thing that's happening right now. And I didn't say it for a while, as far as me being, my background in being doing worship. I didn't want to say that early on. And so, but they knew that it was something that was very different when they first heard me do my music or perform or anything like that. And so from that point, it was just like, something's different about this guy. What is it? I'm gonna figure it out. And everybody started asking questions and wanting to get to know me. So I said maybe I should start doing some interviews so I could kind of tell the world what's going on. And so once they finally found that out, I was like, oh, worship. It was like I knew it was something. And I was like, yeah, I bring the same energy that I would have doing worship on Sunday. I bring that same energy to a big stage.
So how long have you been like traveling and doing your stuff? And have you ever been down here to Lincoln?
Yeah. I've been down to Lincoln a few times. One was to do the shows there. It was a restaurant up there that I performed at too, but I can't think of the name right now. So I've been doing start from the very beginning. When I became a worship leader, I became a worship leader when I was 16 years old. And I started doing worship from that point for like 15 years after that, all the way up through college, and that kind of took me all over the place as well with my father traveling around. So that was me already traveling around and doing different things all over the place. And then when I started doing hip hop music, that started to take me places because of my connections that I also made, even within the church community, really helped me be able to get connections in other areas when it came to hip hop. Because what's interesting is that you don't realize how closely associated you are with people from other genres of music. You don't really realize that until you start asking questions. And so there's always a church person that knows somebody who does hip hop. There's always a country rock person that knows somebody that does speed rap. They all kind of know each other, in general. And so when you started asking questions of, hey, I know I have this relationship with you based off of this, but do you know anybody that does this? And so when they were like, yeah, I have a friend of mine, da da da, whatever. And then you just start to do to connect the dots. And that's how I was able to get to other places outside of town, like your Omaha and your Sioux Falls. And I went to New York and Atlanta. I mean, all these different places that I've been. I haven't been to California yet. So that's where I'm trying to get to is California. But those experiences was great, and they were not as hard to be able to put together if you actually get out and do the work. You know what I mean? To be able to make those connections and move around.
Well, that's kind of how, like around here, Lincoln is a big city, but a small city. And
Yeah.
I think everybody knows everybody as far as like the musicians. Like somehow they're like, oh yeah, I play with that guy. Or there's been people where they started with punk and now they're in a country band. Like
Yeah.
they decide, hey, I want to do this instead. This is more me or whatever. And I think you have a plethora of places to go. So and music to write and to perform. But seriously though, when can you come to Lincoln
I can come to Lincoln whenever.
and
Like,
perform? Yeah, we'll
yeah,
have
I can come to Lincoln
your place.
if you guys have any shows or ideas or something that you guys are putting together or anything like that. I will definitely come and grace the stage for you and be able to hang out and spend some time, and that won't be hard at all.
We would love to do that. Where are you performing now? Like, what's your next?
So
gig?
my next show is Friday, and that's going to be here in Sioux City at the Tyson Event Center. I'm going to be singing the national anthem for the Musketeers here in town, and so that's going to be at 7 p.m. And that is going to be right on Gordon, slap dab in town. You can't miss it. And so that's why I'll be next. And then after that, I have some other projects that are going down in Omaha. So I'm also doing some business stuff in between. So in between that, I kind of go to business conferences. I go to speak at a lot of investment communities and investment events like that. So because I am growing Mill to be a multifaceted business, so it's not just going to be involved in music. So I'm also doing real estate. I'm also doing products and things like that I have. I have a product right now that is called cleaning kit, so which is for vaping. So I have a cleaning kit for people who vape and stuff like that. And so I'm just building and creating different things and expanding it as a brand. I'm kind of taking the route. I don't know if you guys know of like Virgin. how they have like Virgin Airlines, Virgin Mobile, Virgin, all these different things. And so that's kind of how I want Mill to be in a nutshell. I want it to grow as big as that, to where the brand kind of represents quality, excitement, fun. And then we can take that and kind of put that over all different types of genres as far as business is concerned.
Where can we find that? Like if we want to find you and we want to just all of your information, what kind of places can we go to find?
So as of right now, I'm in the process of putting together my my complete website. I just got Mill Music. So actually, I just put together my LLCs for two of my businesses with Mill, and I just purchased millmusic.com. And so I'll be putting that website up. It's not up yet, but as far as finding me, you can find me basically everywhere. So it's MILMUZIQ, and that is basically on all platforms. If you Google that, everything will pop up. Yeah, you can find me there. And my mainly the main places is Instagram, and I do a lot with Facebook, and I do a lot with Instagram. And so outside of that, I have stuff everywhere. So if you just Google Mill Music, then everything will pop up and you'll see all of my great things.
Well, there's definitely, I've checked out a lot of your stuff and I found it on all of that. It's very easy to find. So go out there, check it out. Last week, we talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And
Yes.
we talked about how amazing it is, how we're getting more and more rap in there. We had the Tribe Called Quest get in there. We got Mary J. Blige in there. I mean, how do you feel as a young black man, so to speak, on seeing our heroes getting, not just you, but everybody, for the black culture? How do you feel about these people getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and how big of a deal that is?
I think I would say it's a long time coming, is what I would say. I believe that as far as our contributions from a cultural standpoint have been immense, throughout the ages. And I believe that to be able to get the recognition now is really cool. But to me, I believe that should be a normal thing. You know what I mean? Greatness is greatness, no matter what color it is. If an alien comes down and have some fire music, guess what? He's going to be the biggest rapper in town. He's going to be the biggest rapper everywhere. And he may be purple. You know what I mean? So it just, greatness is greatness. And you can't deny that on any level. And I think that to be able to be recognized for our contributions and the greatness that we provide to the scene is very important to the culture.
Well, music doesn't see color and it shouldn't. Music is just music, which is the whole point of this show, right? We talk about it all the time, is that we all connect on a different level. We're all very different people, but what brings us four here together and the many people listening is the fact that we all love music and it affects us in such a way that we can't even barely explain it. Like if somebody asked me to give my top 10 of musicians, I instantly, like, I start to sputter. I start to,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's impossible because I like so much of it. So I'm not going to bore you with that. I could hit you with give me your top 5 influences, but I know that's hard to hit people with that when you have so many musicians that you like.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. And especially with everything going on with AI, we're about to have artists that are not even real that are going to be the biggest things, in the game, so it's really, really interesting to see how everything is flowing and to see how everything is being built up, from an industry standpoint, and us getting into areas that have never been created before, to be able to have a digital artist be the biggest artist around. I think that is absolutely incredible.
Are you afraid of it? Like as a fellow producer, are you afraid of what AI? Are you going to embrace it and use it to your advantage? Because I can see the good and the bad of it. The bad being people are going to take credit for something that AI completely wrote, right? There's people out there that are going to put out whole albums and they're going to say, I did this, I produced it, when really they sat there in the matter of a minute's time, did a song and just put it out there as themselves when AI did it.
Yeah, I can definitely understand some frustration and drawback from that point, but I think that will all be worked out. I mean, if In my opinion, I kind of look at it this way: you're either fire or you're not. And so if you're fire, then your music will speak for itself. And I think that you don't have to be worried about what AI is doing and things like that. Because if you are, like, for me myself, I am such a unique person that is really hard to duplicate because of all of the experiences and all the influences that I've had. I'm one of those people that is very hard to duplicate. I mean, I think a lot of people who are not as diverse as far as being a musician and understanding the nuances of quality of music and just basic music theory and things like that. If you're not a student of the game, then it's really possible that you can't get leaped over by AI because AI is a student of the game, literally. They know all of the information, all of the tricks, all of the trades. They know everything. All you have to do is be the same. Do your homework, do your homework and become so unique that it's very hard to duplicate. Because, I mean, yeah, somebody can take your voice and somebody can take your imagery. But as far as energy is concerned, that's a different situation. It's a different level.
It really is. True talent knows how to bring out the real emotion in people.
Yes.
And I don't think a computer or an AI can duplicate that.
Yes.
I think when you're writing about a story that happened to you and you sing it and it comes out where it touches people, like really touches people, I don't know if that can be duplicated. I think that's where individually we still have control.
Yeah, and I also think presence, well, especially when you're talking about live shows, it'd be interesting because right now we're talking about digital production. But when you dive into live shows and actual entertainment, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be able to bring that to life. Where they're going to use, holograms or virtual reality, things like that. It becomes really interesting to see how they're going to flow with that. But I think that presence plays a huge point. Like seeing me on stage in live action is something that that will be a little. I think we're a ways out from that. You know what I mean? From creating something that like to have a hologram that can be just as lit as a live person. That'll be interesting to see, especially depending on the person, because you have certain artists that don't necessarily do a whole lot when they're on stage. They just kind of stand there and rap. And then you have other artists that, like myself, that bring so many different elements that is just crazy. And I think that we are still way off from that. I think once AI is able to get advanced enough to be able to produce actual like festivals and concerts and stuff like that, and have it all be AI, then I think, people like myself will probably be like, okay, I need to bring out another something that people don't know about me to be able to be unique. And I have a lot of different nuances about myself that I have not expressed yet to the public that I could bring out at any time, but that is something that I do keep reserved. So just in case, things in the market do change, I can always present something new that people didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll start a whole new genre of resistance music. I mean, that's I mean, that's what music's for. I mean,
Hilarious.
it's the resistance of something else. And
yeah, I like it. I love it.
We'll just start in a whole nother genre.
Yeah, I like it. I wouldn't mind getting into a beef with an AI. That'd be great. That'd be fun.
As long as I can change my voice and I can go up there and I can perform. But as soon as I start singing, they're like, "What in the? Get off the stage! Give the mic back to Randy."
See, my motto is everybody can sing. Only certain people can sing well. That's my motto.
Well, everyone can't. Yeah. I mean,
in church they call it making a joyful noise. That's what they call it.
Joyful
in church.
noise.
They say, make a joyful
that's what
noise.
I loved about church, though, is that you could belt anything out. Well, not anything, but you know, sing your heart out, just like Grandma sitting beside me and belt, just loud. I liked singing loud, and I'm sure that's when they escorted me to the children's area to go do Bible study. Miss,
that's Brooke giving you a little inside joke.
I get it.
Without letting you know.
Yeah, I get it.
But when we get Brooke a couple drinks, she'll do karaoke like no other, and she'll
Oh man,
everybody will hear it.
Yep.
I love karaoke. Karaoke is one of the highlights of my time. Whenever I get some rest and I get to like not do anything, karaoke is definitely something I love to do for sure.
Yeah. You put it, he's not kidding, a couple drinks and I can rap.
What?
Yes,
Not really. Not really.
Well,
Okay. We could do some Brooke Eminem. I got you. I get it.
I need some lyrics, and not drink too much because I have to be able to read it. But yeah, I
love it.
I'm 30. I'm 35 years into karaoke now. And that's kind of how me and Cain met.
Oh, okay.
Cain, after being a traveling artist, he got into the, was looking for another outlet and got into the karaoke business, and that's kind of how we connected. And
I know. Here's a funny thing. I used to be a DJ, and so I used to DJ at weddings and do karaoke and stuff like that. And I also was a music teacher. So I taught at the Conservatory of Music, and I taught piano and vocals to children, which was something. Oh man, attention span was so short, but I developed really good patience.
It's called herding cats. I used to help folks with little children, and then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Just grab the ball and run somewhere.
I figured out if you want to teach children how to play piano from a classical basis, you want to use a popular song that they like and be able to break it down into a classical format for them to be able to learn it. And that worked for a while until they got distracted, and then it was all over the place at that point. And so, but like I say, over time you develop really, really good patience. And that also helps when it comes to dealing with adults as well, because especially in the music industry, there's a lot of emotion that flow around in music. And so you have to be patient with people who are very passionate about things. And when and me being a businessman, I'm not afraid to have a tough conversation and say, hey, listen, this is just not working. We need to scratch it and do something else. And a lot of times, you have to deal with the reaction of people being so passionate about something. But from a business perspective, like I said, I went to college for business and marketing. And so my professor was a very hard-nosed, short entrepreneur lady. And she did not play. And she had her glasses, and she'll look at you like, listen, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Because making money is the key.
Yeah, but
she was great. Shout out to Judy Thompson. I want to put that out there. Judy Thompson,
Judy.
Great lady, taught me a lot about entrepreneurship and to not be so emotional about the decisions that you make, because the truth is that there's a side of it which is just expression of self and expression in a musical format, but there's also a business component that says, hey, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. Mm-hmm. And so, that balance has to stay balanced.
Well, I know our time is getting short. I mean,
yes,
you've been a great conversation for our show, and it's so great to meet you today.
It's a pleasure.
I mean, we're definitely going to have to get you back, and especially if we can get you to perform in this area again. We're of course, we'd be more than happy to promote anything you got going on.
Yes,
we have a wide, our fan base is very wide and touches so many areas.
And when are y'all going to do a festival for y'all show?
Well,
do one every year. We've
done some small things, and we are actually, that is the plan, is this year we're trying to do a big benefit show this year. And it's in the works. And so don't be surprised if you don't get a message that says, hey, man, you want to come down and hang out with us? And,
yes, for sure. Sign me up. I'm with it.
All right. Well, there you go, Scratch the Vinyl fans. We'll have radio here come to Lincoln sometime soon, hopefully.
Boom.
Starting to build a pretty good amount of artists who we could have on these shows. When we do that, one of these events coming up, it's going to be pretty massive. I really hope we get someone like yourself to come and just get a nice group of different types of musicians. I think that it would really set it off for what this show is all about. But we're just so glad to have you. I'm glad we connected on Facebook. We made this thing happen, and I just think you're an awesome guest, and this has been great, man. It really has.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to come down, and I'll try to crowd surf when I get down there.
And then you could try my lasagna afterwards.
Yes, I would try your lasagna for sure.
You can see what Brooke calls a joyful noise. Okay.
Well, you'll have to make it to one of Randy's karaoke, which the bar that I work at is where he plays, and you will actually get to witness perfection.
Greatness. Witness greatness.
Oh Lord,
Yes.
no cameras or phones allowed.
Radio, she's lying to you in so many ways. I'm actually the cook, actually. She'll say, Randy, make a big lasagna, and then I can present it. Because she really is the band mom. I mean, so we let her keep that kind of.
Hey, that's what your people are for. You know what I mean? That's what your people are for.
Oh, if we want to get
Definitely.
backstage anywhere, Brooke's our girl. She'll get you in anywhere.
Oh, nice. That's really
Pop
dope.
my way anywhere. Yeah. Yep. I'm here to clean your guitar upstairs in the green room. Oh, okay.
Yeah, hey, it's cool.
Well, we're super happy that your journey has brought you from the South up here to the Midwest, and we love your message. And
yes, music is life, man. Music is life.
It's a pretty good mantra, and we share that with you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to see y'all in person.
Well, for the listeners at home, we gave you another awesome guest. We're going to keep knocking them out. We're going to keep giving you guys the best podcasting excellence possible, especially in this area and the world around us. So thank you so much, Radio, for being on the show. And for the listeners, we will see you next week here on
Scratch the Vinyl.
Yeah.